Buried behind the toothpaste, in the back of your medicine cabinet, sits a little brown bottle. It cost you about $1. You probably forgot it was even there. That bottle is hydrogen peroxide, and it kills pests that drive people out of their own homes. 9 ways. Meanwhile, the pest control industry banks over $5 billion a year selling you the same chemistry in fancier packaging. But here's the catch. There's one thing this bottle should never ever touch. And until you know what it is, every spray you make is a risk you don't fully understand. But before a single mix is poured, you need to understand what this stuff actually is, and why the science makes every method on this list work. Gideon Schmidt has spent 40 years defending an old farmhouse from every pest that crawls, flies, or scratches at the door. He has never once called an exterminator. Not for ants, not for mice, not for anything. And he's about to hand you everything he knows. 9 uses, with exact mixes, exact amounts, exact placement. Here's the journey. We start with the smallest indoor nuisances, work up through your garden, and finish with the fuzzy invaders scratching at your trash at night. But first, overturn the assumption you've been sold. Pest control doesn't require chemical cans or a white truck. It requires one strong oxidizer, hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, is water plus one extra oxygen atom. That single atom tears pests apart at the cellular level. The leftovers, water and air. No fumes, no residue, no invoice. We start with the pest hiding in plain sight inside the soil of your houseplants. Water that houseplant, and a small black cloud lifts off the soil. Fungus gnats. Most people swat a few and call it a day. But every one of those females is laying up to 200 eggs a week, and the flies you see are not the problem, the larvae are. They're down in the dark, chewing tender roots, stunting growth, while you blame the watering schedule. The mix: 1 part standard 3% hydrogen peroxide, 4 parts water. Let the top inch or 2 of soil dry out first, then drench until it runs from the drainage holes. Watch the fizz. That sound is the peroxide splitting into water and free oxygen, oxidizing larvae and eggs on contact. And here's the part that makes this different from every insecticide: that extra oxygen feeds the roots. The plant gets a treatment, not a punishment. 1 drench, then another 7 days later, and the breeding cycle is broken. And once that spray bottle is in your hand, you'll start noticing something else peroxide handles better than the cleaner. Everyone reaches for first. Scrub that black stain in the bathroom corner, and it disappears. For a week. Bleach only kills mold on tile and glass. On wood, drywall, and grout, the surface dies and the roots survive, so the spot comes back darker. And there's one thing this dollar bottle should never ever touch. But until you know what it is, every spray is a risk. Peroxide beats bleach where it matters. Use it undiluted, straight 3%, and saturate the spot. Let it sit 10 to 15 minutes while it fizzes into the pores, then scrub. The fizz is oxygen attacking the roots, not just painting the stain. Baking soda adds grit for stubborn spots. 2 rules: spot test fabrics and dark wood first. Peroxide is a mild bleach, and if the mold covers more than 10 square feet, call a professional. Now the warning: never mix peroxide with vinegar. Together they form peracetic acid, and the fumes burn deep into your lungs. That's the one touch it can't afford. From the bathroom we move straight into the kitchen, where a different army is already marching across the counter. A line of ants is marching across your counter right now, and those few you see are just scouts for the thousands they're reporting back to. Reach for a chemical spray and you're fogging poison where you prep food. But that dollar bottle from the bathroom? Peroxide kills ants on contact, shredding their exoskeleton and cellular structure. Mix 1 part 3% peroxide with 2 parts water in a spray bottle. Hit the ants directly. Then, and this is the part everyone skips, spray the invisible pheromone trail they follow. Wipe it away, and the colony loses the map back to your kitchen. Honest limit: it's a contact killer, not a colony-wiping bait. The nest survives, but as a food-safe first line of defense, nothing beats it. That brings us to number 4, the one promised at the start: the tiny moth-like flies most people can't even name. Those tiny moth-like flies hovering around your sink are drain flies, and they aren't coming from outside. They're breeding inside your pipes, in the slimy film of grease, hair, soap, and food that coats the drain walls. That sludge builds silently for weeks, and by the time you spot the first adult, the population has already exploded. Here's the fix: pour about a cup of straight 3% hydrogen peroxide down the drain. The fizz isn't cosmetic, it's the peroxide chemically breaking down that organic layer and killing larvae and eggs on contact. Let it sit at least an hour, overnight is better. Then flush with hot water. Repeat daily for a week. That's how long it takes to break the breeding cycle. The bonus: 1 weekly splash stops the buildup from ever forming again. It works on kitchen drains, bathroom sinks, shower drains, and it knocks out the funky smell at the same time. Same dollar bottle, same cheap fix. No white truck required. Now we step outside, because the same bottle that cleared your sink can keep a summer evening on the porch from turning into a blood donation. One mosquito whine by your ear, and the whole evening changes. You grab the dollar bottle, half water, half 3% peroxide, and you're about to win. But there's one thing this spray should never ever touch, and until you know what it is, every mist is a gamble. Here's the play. Mix equal parts peroxide and water, coat the deck, chair legs, railings, and shady corners, 30 minutes before you sit. The oxygen burst kills adults on contact and repels the rest. A study in Frontiers in Bioengineering and Biotechnology confirmed it hits mosquitoes and their eggs. That's the why. The honest catch, sunlight eats peroxide fast, so reapply before guests arrive or after rain. And splash that mix into standing water, bird baths, saucers, puddles, and you kill larvae before they grow wings. Oh, and the never touch. Fabric, cushions, umbrellas, anything dyed. Peroxide is bleach, and it doesn't care about your favorite chair. Deeper into the garden, the same chemistry turns on the soft-bodied thieves eating your vegetables alive. Here's the recipe that beats them all. 1 tablespoon of 3% peroxide per gallon of water. Pour it into a sprayer and coat every leaf, tops and undersides, because that's exactly where aphids, spider mites, whiteflies, and mealybugs like to hide. The why is pure chemistry. Soft-bodied pests lack the thick waxy armor that shields beetles and scale, so oxidation ruptures their cell membranes on contact. They dry out and die within minutes. For root aphids living below the soil line, use the 1-to-4 soil drench. 1 part peroxide, 4 parts water, poured into the root zone until saturated. The same spray doubles as a fungicide, knocking out powdery mildew and black mold on the foliage. 2 cautions. Spot test delicate plants first, and spray only in early morning or late evening. In full sun, peroxide burns the very leaves you're trying to save. That's the whole play. 1 tablespoon, 1 gallon, no white truck, no invoice. Next, the invaders get fuzzier, and the danger shifts from bites to what they leave behind. Never sweep them, never vacuum them. That dry dust of dried droppings and nesting material is the most dangerous thing in the room, because one pass of a broom launches hantavirus, salmonella, and leptospirosis straight into your lungs. The safe play is the opposite, with gloves and mask on. Soak the mess with 3% peroxide straight from the dollar bottle. Let it sit for 5 full minutes, then wipe everything into a sealed bag, respray, and air dry. Peroxide does not just rinse the mess away. Its broad-spectrum antimicrobial action kills the bacteria and inactivates the viruses before they can become airborne. That is the CDC-aligned move. One caveat, sanitation you can handle yourself. The actual rodent removal may still belong to the pros. Back among the houseplants waits a pest most people have never even heard named until their favorite plant starts dying for no clear reason. Its leaves looked fine this morning. By nightfall they carry silver streaks and tiny black specks, the work of a pest barely a millimeter long. Thrips are so slender they slip between leaf cells, puncture them, and drink the plant dry. One female lays hundreds of eggs. Within days, every pot on the shelf is infected. The dollar bottle fix, equal parts 3% peroxide and water. Soak the top inch of soil weekly to kill eggs and larvae before they hatch. Then rinse the foliage and lightly mist the adults. Peroxide decays into plain water and oxygen, so it is safe around kids and pets. That matters because thrips breed fast, soil and leaves together, every week until every sign is gone. But there is one thing this bottle should never, ever touch. And until you know what it is, every spray is a risk. The last method is the biggest, the one that finally answers what this bottle must never touch. 2 in the morning, and the dog is still scratching. By the time you see one flea, thousands are already in the carpet. Eggs, larvae, pupae, hiding in the fibers. The dollar bottle ends it, but not the way you think. Peroxide oxidizes on contact. It corrodes a flea's exoskeleton and dissolves the glue that holds eggs shut. But order matters. Vacuum everything first, and bag the canister immediately. Otherwise, you just redeployed the army. Then add half a cup to the hot wash with bedding, blankets, and pet beds. Finally, mix equal parts peroxide and water and spray carpets, upholstery, and baseboards. The why: flea eggs hatch on different schedules. One spray kills today's adults, but next week's hatch survives. So repeat every few days for 2 to 3 weeks until nothing new survives. And now the hard line. This bottle must never touch the animal itself. Peroxide irritates skin and is not safe on dogs or cats. Treat the home, take the pet to a vet. 9 methods, 1 bottle. But the real question is why almost nobody is told any of this. and when the bottle truly is not enough. One thing this bottle should never touch, and it's probably sitting right next to it. Vinegar. Mixed together, they form peracetic acid, corrosive enough to burn your eyes and lungs. Never combine them. Why does no one warn you? Pest control is a $5 billion industry. Commercials for a $1 oxidizer that leaves only water and air. That's knowledge they can't bill you for. Use only 3% household strength. Keep it from eyes and mouth. Glove-sensitive skin. Store it cool and dark in the brown bottle. For termites, venomous spiders, or mold beyond 10 square feet, call a licensed pro. The dollar bottle wins the daily wars. Not every war. Tell me which pest you're facing in the comments. Thanks for watching. Which means the only thing left is to walk back to the cabinet and see what you've been ignoring. Open the cabinet. There's the bottle. Now the one rule that matters most, it never touches your dog or cat. Hydrogen peroxide works on surfaces, corners, baseboards, home only. One lick can mean a foaming mouth and a rushed vet visit. Keep them away until it dries. Everything else in the 9 uses stands. $1 did the work of service calls. Because simple science beats manufactured dependency, the real weapon was never the white truck. It was in your cabinet the whole time. Confirm right now your 3% peroxide is still there. And tell me which of the 9 pests has been winning in your house so far. Thanks for watching.